3 months after the initial demand for tribute, the hardliners on the council made their move. 100 warships entered the Sol system without warning. They did not send any messages. They did not make any demands. They came to punish humanity. Admiral Susan Ford watched from Earth Defense Command as the enemy fleet appeared on the long-range sensors. "Alert all ships and defense platforms," she ordered. "This is not a drill." All across the solar system, humanity's defenders moved into position. The main fleet of 70 ships formed a protective barrier near Mars. The asteroid belt defense platforms powered up their weapons. On Earth, Dr. Graham's team activated the experimental planetary shield. "The shield is at 60% and holding," Dr. Graham reported. "It won't stop everything, but it will help." The Council fleet divided into 3 attack groups. The largest group headed straight for Earth. The others moved to attack the human fleet and the asteroid defenses. Captain Frank Johnson stood on the bridge of the Defiance as the enemy approached. "All ships, battle formation Alpha. Remember, your training. We've beaten them before, we can do it again." The battle began near the orbit of Mars. Energy beams and missiles crossed the emptiness of space. The human ships were faster and had better shields, but they were outnumbered. The Defiance led a daring attack on the Council's command ship. It took heavy damage but managed to disable the alien vessel's main weapons. "Hull breach on Deck 3, Lieutenant Davis shouted over the noise of the battle. Emergency teams responding. Johnson held onto his chair as the ship shook from another hit. "Target their engines. We need to slow them down." In the asteroid belt, Colonel Maria Diaz commanded the defense platforms. Her forces managed to destroy 5 enemy ships, but more kept coming. "They're breaking through," she reported to Admiral Ford. "At least 20 ships are heading your way." Near Earth, the remaining human ships prepared for the final stand. The planetary shield glowed blue as it spread across the atmosphere. The battle raged across the entire solar system, from Mercury's orbit to beyond Pluto. The humans fought with everything they had. Ships that were damaged retreated to repair, then returned to the fight. After 18 hours of non-stop combat, both sides were exhausted. The Council fleet had lost 37 ships. Earth had lost 12. Neither side could claim victory. On the Defiance, Captain Johnson made a bold decision. His ship was damaged, but still operational. He ordered a direct assault on the Council, flagship where High Speaker Zarthul commanded the attack. "This is our chance to end this," he told his crew. "If we can capture Zarthul, the other ships might stand down." The Defiance and 2 other ships fought their way through the Council's defenses. They took heavy fire, but their improved shields held. Johnson's plan worked. The Defiance disabled the flagship's engines and weapons without destroying it. A team led by Lieutenant Emma Watson boarded the alien vessel. They found High Speaker Zarthul on the command deck, still giving orders to fight to the last ship. The boarding team surrounded him. "High Speaker," Lieutenant Watson said, "you are now a prisoner of Earth." Zarthul's 6 eyes glowed with hatred. "Kill me and be done with it," he hissed. "That's not how humans do things," Watson replied. "You'll be treated according to the laws of war." The news that their leader had been captured spread quickly through the Council fleet. Many captains wanted to continue fighting, but others saw the battle was lost. A message came from a Council ship commanded by a Morrigan captain. "This attack was not authorized by the full Council. We request a ceasefire." Aboard the Earth Defense Command, Admiral Ford received the message. She conferred with President Carter, who had remained in the command center throughout the battle. "Accept the ceasefire," the president decided. "But our ships stay on alert." As the fighting stopped, humanity counted its losses. Thousands had died defending their world. But Earth remained free. The Council's attempt to punish humanity had failed. On the Defiance, Captain Johnson looked out at the stars. The ship's hull was scarred from multiple hits. Repair teams worked to fix the damage, but they had won. They had shown the galaxy that humans would defend their right to be treated as equals, and they had done it without destroying Zarthul's ship when they could have. That choice, to capture rather than kill, would have consequences that no one could yet predict. 6 months after the initial demand for tribute, Representatives from 27 species gathered in the rebuilt council chamber on Zenith Prime. The old chamber had been destroyed in the fighting that followed High Speaker Zarthul's capture. Now a new circular hall stood in its place. The most important change: all seats were at the same level. No species sat above the others. Ambassador Calavor of the Morrigan stood at the central podium. After the battle in the Sol system, the Yao, moderate council members had taken control. Calavor had been chosen as the new High Speaker. "Today we welcome humanity as full members of the Galactic Council," she announced. "Not as subjects, but as equals." Ambassador John Miller walked forward to sign the new alliance treaty. Behind him stood Captain Frank Johnson, now Admiral Johnson, and Dr. Olivia Graham. All three had been key to Earth's victory. "On behalf of Earth and all humans, we accept this alliance," Miller said. "We look forward to working with all species for a better galaxy." The signing ceremony was broadcast across thousands of worlds. Many species that had suffered under the old council's demands watched with hope. If humans could stand up for themselves, perhaps they could too. On Earth, people celebrated in the streets. 6 months ago, they had faced possible destruction. Now they were recognized as equals in the galaxy. President Carter watched the ceremony from the Oval Office, surrounded by his advisors. "Our world will never be the same," he said quietly. "We are truly citizens of the galaxy now." Admiral Susan Ford nodded. "And we've started building that defense fleet you wanted. Another 100 ships will be ready by next year." "Good," the president replied. "Peace through strength, but we must also be ready to help others." On Zenith Prime, the celebrations continued into the night. Ambassador Miller met with representatives from smaller species that had paid tribute for centuries. "We want to be free like you," said a small green alien from a world called Nexus 4. "Will Earth help us?" Miller smiled. "Earth remembers its friends and those who need friends. We will help where we can." Admiral Johnson toured the council's shipyards, now being converted to serve all species equally. Many alien engineers were eager to learn from humans, just as humans wanted to learn from them. "Your ship designs are impressive," said a Dendari engineer. "So simple yet so effective." "We had good teachers," Johnson replied with a smile, "even if they didn't know they were teaching us." Dr. Graham spent her time in the Council's Science Academy. She was sharing some of Earth's improvements to alien technology while learning new things that would help humanity. "Your shield technology is remarkable," said the Academy's director. "It saved your planet." "It was a team effort," Graham replied, "and now we can work together on even better technology." In a secure facility on Earth, former High Speaker Zarthul lived under house arrest. He had been treated well, despite his crimes. President Carter visited him occasionally. "You could have destroyed my ship," Zarthul said during one visit. "Why didn't you?" "Because that's not who we are," Carter replied. "Humans fight when we must, but we prefer peace when possible." The former High Speaker considered this. For the first time, he was beginning to understand these strange humans. As years passed, the new Galactic Council grew stronger. More species joined as equals. The practice of demanding tribute ended. Trade and knowledge flowed freely between worlds. Admiral Johnson eventually led a mixed-species peacekeeping force that helped maintain order in disputed regions. Dr. Graham headed a new research institute where scientists from all species worked together. Ambassador Miller served as Earth's voice in the Council for many years before retiring. On the 10th anniversary of the Battle of Sol, as it came to be known, a new monument was unveiled in orbit around Earth. It showed hands and appendages of all shapes and sizes, joined together in a circle. The inscription, written in every known language, said simply, "Equal in the stars, united in peace." The Council had demanded tribute. Humanity's reply had not just stunned the galaxy, it had changed it forever. Where, once there had been masters and servants, now there were partners and friends. The tribute that Earth had given was not resources or people, but something more valuable, the idea that all intelligent species deserved respect and freedom, and that, perhaps, was the greatest gift of all. The news of Earth's defiance spread quickly through the galaxy. Many species watched with interest. No one had ever stood up to the council before. On Zenith Prime, the council chamber was in chaos. Representatives shouted over each other. Some demanded immediate action. Others urged caution. High Speaker Zarthul raised all four of his arms for silence. Enough. The humans must be taught a lesson. I have ordered a disciplinary force to intercept their fleet. Ambassador Calavor of the Morrigan stood up. Is this the will of the full council? We have not voted. This is an emergency measure, Zarthul replied. 10 warships are already on their way to meet the human fleet. They will show these primitives their proper place. In the neutral system of Delta Vega, halfway between Earth and Zenith Prime, Captain Frank Johnson received the warning from Earth's long-range sensors. Council ships approaching, sir, reported Lieutenant Watson. 10 heavy warships heavily armed. Johnson nodded. All ships, battle formation Delta, shields at maximum. He turned to his weapons officer. Lieutenant Greg Davis, target their engines and weapons only. We disable, not destroy. The human fleet spread out. The 5 larger ships formed a front line. The smaller ships moved to support positions. The council warships entered the system with confidence. Their commander, General Vrex of the Vrax, had fought many battles in his long life, but all had been against much weaker enemies. He saw the human fleet and laughed. Their ships looked impressive, but surely they were weak inside. Target the lead human ship, Vrex ordered. 1 shot should be enough to make them surrender. The largest council warship fired a powerful energy beam at the Defiance. The humans watched as the beam hit their shields and bounced off. On the Defiance, the crew cheered. Captain Johnson allowed himself a small smile. Return fire, Lieutenant Davis. Let's show them what we can do. The Defiance fired back. The beam cut through the council ship's shields like they weren't even there. It hit the ship's main weapon, disabling it without destroying the vessel. General Vrex couldn't believe what he was seeing. How is this possible? Their technology should be years behind ours. A second human ship, the Courage, fired at another council vessel. Its engines went dark. A third shot disabled another council ship's weapons. Within 10 minutes, 2 council ships were completely disabled. The others were trying to regroup, but the human fleet was faster and more agile than they had expected. General, we should retreat, said Vrex's second-in-command. These humans are stronger than we thought. Vrex hissed in anger, but knew it was true. All ships returned to Zenith Prime. As his fleet turned, he sent a message. This is not over, humans. Captain Johnson watched the council ships leave. Hold position, do not pursue. Sir, we could catch them, said Lieutenant Davis. That's not our mission, Johnson replied. We wanted to show them we can fight, not that we want to fight. There's a difference. The human fleet remained in formation, watching as the council ships disappeared into faster-than-light travel. On Zenith Prime, the council watched recordings of the battle in stunned silence. 2 of their best warships disabled in minutes, the rest forced to retreat. Ambassador John Miller stood calmly in the center of the chamber. As you can see, Earth is not defenseless. We developed this technology by studying what you shared with us and improving it. We can protect ourselves. High Speaker Zarthul's voice shook with rage. The humans must be punished for this insult. But other council members were not so sure. Ambassador Calavor was openly applauding. Finally, someone has shown the council that bullying is not diplomacy, she said. The Morrigan support the humans' right to refuse tribute. 2 other species joined her. The council was splitting apart over the human question. Ambassador Miller continued speaking. Earth remains open to a true alliance, but we will not be slaves. The choice is yours. Back on the Defiance, Captain Johnson received a message from Earth. President Carter congratulated the fleet on their successful first engagement. Hold position at Delta Vega, the president ordered. Let's give the council time to think about what happened today. Johnson looked out at the stars. The real fight, he knew, was just beginning. But today, humanity had shown the galaxy they would not bow down to bullies, no matter how large or powerful they claimed to be. The council meeting on Zenith Prime lasted for 3 full days after the battle at Delta Vega. Species that had never spoken against the leadership now found their voices. Ambassador John Miller watched it all carefully, sending reports back to Earth. The council has split into 3 groups, he told President Carter during a secure call. The hardliners want to gather the entire council fleet and crush Earth immediately. The moderates want to negotiate with us as equals. The opportunists just want to use this situation to gain more power for themselves. The president nodded. Which group is winning? It's too close to call, Miller replied. The hardliners have the support of High Speaker Zarthul, but the Morrigan are leading the moderates, and they have strong allies. Back on Earth, preparation for possible war continued. Dr. Olivia Graham and her team worked around the clock to outfit more ships with their advanced technology. Small shipyards in orbit, once used for building satellites, now constructed warships. In her lab beneath the Rocky Mountains, Olivia studied the data from the Delta Vega encounter. The Council ships had stronger hulls than we expected, she told Dr. Alan Martinez. But their shield technology is at least a generation behind ours now. That's good, Alan said. But our intelligence reports say they have at least 500 more ships they could send. Olivia nodded. We need to speed up production, and I have some ideas for improving our weapons. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Colonel Maria Diaz oversaw the conversion of mining platforms into defensive positions. Hundreds of miners and engineers worked to install weapon systems and shields. If the Council sends a large fleet, these stations will be our first line of defense, she explained to a group of new recruits. Each one is equipped with long-range sensors that can detect ships entering our solar system from any direction. On the Defiance, Captain Frank Johnson and his crew remained at Delta Vega, watching for any Council ships that might approach. The human fleet had grown to 60 vessels as more ships arrived from Earth. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Zenith Prime, Lieutenant Emma Watson reported. It's Ambassador Miller. Miller's face appeared on the main screen. He looked tired but determined. Captain, our intelligence suggests the hardliners are secretly gathering a fleet. They plan to attack without full Council approval. How many ships? Johnson asked. At least 100, possibly more. They're gathering in the Proxima sector, 3 light-years from your position. Johnson frowned. That's too many for us to handle in open combat. The President is sending reinforcements, but they won't arrive for at least 2 weeks. You need to return to Earth immediately. We'll need every ship for the defense. As the Defiance and the human fleet prepared to leave Delta Vega, Ambassador War Calavor secretly met with Miller in a private chamber on Zenith Prime. My government has decided to support Earth, she said. We cannot send ships yet. That would start a civil war within the Council, but we can share intelligence and technology. Miller shook her hand. Thank you, Ambassador. Earth won't forget who its friends were when the fighting starts. Back on Earth, President Carter addressed an emergency meeting of the United Nations. Representatives from every nation listened as he explained the situation. The Council hardliners are coming, he said simply. Our fleet is returning to defend Earth, but we will be outnumbered. Every nation must contribute to our defense. The Chinese representative stood up. China will deploy its new space station as a defensive platform. The Russian representative nodded. Russia will share its advanced missile technology with the Global Defense Force. One by one, nations that had once been enemies pledged to stand together. Old conflicts were set aside. The survival of all humanity was at stake. In her lab, Dr. Graham received the call she had been dreading. Dr. Graham, this is the President. How soon can the planetary shield be ready? She took a deep breath. The technology is untested, sir. We've never attempted to shield an entire planet before. But can it be done? She looked at her team, who nodded their support. Yes, sir. Give us 3 days. As night fell across America, people looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, a fleet of alien ships was coming to punish humanity for daring to stand as equals. The greatest test in human history was about to begin. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Olivia Graham checked the final systems on the EDS Defiance. The ship was beautiful, 300 meters long with smooth lines that reminded her of the old naval destroyers from centuries ago. But this ship was designed for space, not water. Power levels stable at 100%, said Dr. Alan Martinez from his station. The new core design is working perfectly. Olivia nodded. How about the shield systems? Better than expected, Alan replied with a grin. They can absorb 20% more energy than the Council's best weapons can dish out. 3 years ago, when the Council ships first appeared in Earth's orbit, they had shown off their technology to impress humans. That had been their first mistake. Humans were very good at taking other people's ideas and making them better. The facility was huge. A mountain had been hollowed out to create it. The main chamber held 5 identical ships. Hundreds of engineers and scientists moved around them like ants, making final adjustments. Olivia's phone buzzed. It was a message from Admiral Ford. Presidential visit in 30 minutes. Be ready. The president is coming, she told Alan. Make sure everything is perfect. Alan nodded and rushed off. Olivia walked around the Defiance one more time. Project Prometheus had been her life for 3 years. When the Council arrived, world leaders had realized that Earth needed to be ready, just in case. The world's best scientists were secretly brought together. Their mission: understand and improve alien technology. The first breakthrough came when they figured out how the Council's faster-than-light drives worked. The second was when they improved them by 40%. After that, advances came quickly. The elevator doors at the far end of the facility opened. President Carter walked in with Admiral Ford and several security agents. Dr. Graham, the president said, shaking her hand. Show me what my tax dollars have built. Olivia led them through the facility, explaining each ship's capabilities. The Defiance-class vessels can match or exceed anything the Council has. We've built 5 here, and the lunar facility has completed 50 smaller attack craft. The president looked impressed. Will they be enough? In terms of firepower, yes, Olivia said. They don't expect us to have this technology. We've kept the ships powered down to avoid detection. The admiral spoke up. Intelligence suggests the Council's military hasn't fought a real war in over 300 years. They've grown soft. They stepped inside the Defiance. The bridge was spacious, with stations for 12 crew members. Captain Frank Johnson was waiting for them. Captain. The president nodded. Is your crew ready? Yes, sir, Johnson replied. The best pilots and officers Earth has to offer. Many were test pilots before this assignment. The president walked to the front of the bridge and looked at the main view screen. It showed the other ships in the facility. What are their names? He asked. The Defiance, Courage, Liberty, Justice, and Freedom, Captain Johnson said. The president smiled. Appropriate. Admiral Ford checked her watch. Mr. President, it's time for the secure call with Ambassador Miller. They moved to a small meeting room. The ambassador's face appeared on the screen. Mr. President, the Council is suspicious, Miller reported. They've detected activity around the moon but don't know what it means. They expect us to give in, not fight back. What's your assessment of their resolve? The president asked. 3 of the Council species will push for immediate action against us. 2 don't care either way. 2 might actually support us, especially the Morrigan. The president thought for a moment. Dr. Graham, how soon can the ships be ready to launch? The 5 major ships can launch within 24 hours. The smaller craft are ready now. The president stood up straight. Then the decision is made. We will not pay tribute. We will not send our people to be slaves. Earth will stand as equals in the galaxy or not at all. He turned to Admiral Ford. Prepare the fleet. On day 29, we show the Council who they're really dealing with. As the president left, Olivia returned to the Defiance. Soon, these ships would leave Earth and reveal themselves to the galaxy. She hoped they were ready for what would come next. Day 29 arrived with a tense feeling across Earth. The government had kept the Council's demands secret, but rumors were spreading. Something big was happening. At exactly noon, Eastern OI, Time, President Richard Carter stood in the Oval Office. Cameras broadcast his image to every corner of Earth. "My fellow citizens," he began, his voice steady. "3 years ago, the Galactic Council made contact with Earth. Today, I must share information that has been kept secret for your protection." He explained the tribute demand. 10% of Earth's resources and 5,000 humans to serve. The Council. The people watching were shocked. Parents held their children closer. Workers stopped their jobs to listen. "I have decided," the president continued, "that Earth will not pay this tribute. We will not give our resources or our people. Humanity will stand as equals in the galaxy, or we will stand alone." In orbit above Earth, 50 ships appeared as if by magic. For 3 years they had hidden on the far side of the moon, powered, down to avoid detection. Now they formed a protective ring around the planet. Captain Frank Johnson sat in the command chair of the Defiance. His crew worked quietly at their stations, each focused on their tasks. "All ships report ready, Captain," said Lieutenant Emma Watson from the communications station. "Very good," Johnson replied. "Set course for Zenith Prime. Standard formation." The ships moved away from Earth, their engines glowing blue against the blackness of space. They were humanity's first true space fleet. 5 large warships led the way, with 45 smaller but equally powerful ships following. On Zenith Prime, Ambassador John Miller walked into the council chamber. The room fell silent as he entered. The 7 council leaders looked down at him from their high seats. "Ambassador Miller," High Speaker Zarthul said, "today is day 29. Has Earth prepared its tribute?" John looked up at the alien leader. His heart was pounding, but his voice was calm. "Earth has prepared its response." He pressed a button on his wrist device. A large hologram appeared in the middle of the chamber. It showed the fleet of 50 Earth ships now heading toward Zenith Prime. "The people of Earth reject your demand for tribute," John announced. "We will not give our resources or our people as slaves. Instead, we offer a counter-proposal, a true alliance between equals." The council chamber erupted in angry shouts. Some representatives looked afraid, others looked curious. The Morrigan ambassador, Calavor, was trying to hide a smile. "High Speaker," Zarthul's 6 eyes glowed with rage. "You dare to threaten the council? Your primitive ships do not concern us." "They are not threats," John replied. "They are the protection Earth has created for itself, since the council offers protection only at the price of slavery." He walked to the center of the room, standing directly under the hologram of Earth's fleet. "Earth proposes a new relationship with the Galactic Council. We will share knowledge, trade fairly, and defend each other if needed, but we will not serve. We will not pay tribute." On screens across Earth, people watched their president continue his speech. "Today marks a new chapter for humanity," President Carter said. "Former enemies have put aside their differences. Nations that once fought each other now stand together. We face the stars as one people." All around the world, people gathered in city squares and living rooms. They looked up at the sky, knowing their ships were now out there, representing all of them. In Russia, China, America, and every other nation, military forces went on alert. If the Council decided to attack Earth, they would find a united planet ready to defend itself. Back on the Defiance, Captain Johnson received a message from Ambassador Miller explaining what had happened in the council chamber. "Sir," called out the sensor officer, "we're detecting council ships moving to intercept us." Johnson nodded. "Steady as she goes. Shields up, but weapons on standby only. Let's see what they do next." The Defiance continued forward, leading Earth's fleet toward whatever would come next. The real test was about to begin. Admiral Susan Ford stood at the large window of the space station. Earth looked beautiful from up here. Blue, green, and swirls of white clouds. She took a deep breath. The message from the Galactic Council was coming soon. The room behind her was quiet. 20 of Earth's top military and government officials waited. No one spoke. They all knew what was at stake. "Admiral, the transmission is starting," said Lieutenant Paul Green. Susan turned away from the window. "Put it on the main screen," The wall-sized screen flickered to life. The face that appeared wasn't human. It had 6 glowing yellow eyes arranged in a circle. Its skin was hard and shiny like a beetle's shell. This was High Speaker Zarthul of the Galactic Council. People of Earth. The alien's voice rumbled through the speakers. The Grand Galactic Council has observed your world for some time now. 3 years ago, we welcomed you into the galactic community. Susan's hands tightened into fists. The welcome had been anything but friendly. The Council had simply shown up with their massive ships and informed Earth they were now part of a larger government. As is custom for all new species, Zarthul continued, the time has come for Earth to pay its tribute. Several officials in the room shifted uncomfortably. This was new information. The Council requires the following: 10% of all Earth's natural resources to be delivered within 90 days. Additionally, you will provide 5,000 humans to serve as assistants on Council worlds. The room erupted in angry whispers. Susan held up her hand for silence. This tribute will secure Earth's position in the Council and provide you with our protection, said Zarthul. You have 30 Earth days to begin the tribute process. This is not a request. It is the way of the galaxy. The screen went black. For several seconds, no one spoke. Then everyone started talking at once. Silence. Susan's voice cut through the noise. We need to contact the president immediately. Within the hour, President Richard Carter was on the secure line from the White House. His face looked grim on the smaller screen. They want slaves, he said plainly. That's what those assistants would be. Yes, sir, Susan agreed. And our intelligence suggests no other species has been asked for this kind of tribute. They're targeting us specifically. The president rubbed his forehead. What do we know about their military capability? Susan brought up a file on her tablet. Their technology appears more advanced, but we've been studying their system since first contact. Dr. Graham's team has made some significant breakthroughs. The Prometheus project? Yes, sir. The ships are ready. The president nodded slowly. They expect us to simply bow down. They see us as weak. A dangerous assumption on their part, Susan said. Get our ambassador on Zenith Prime to gather more information, the president ordered. I want to know if there are cracks in the Council we can exploit, and I want to see those ships. I'll arrange transport to the moon base tomorrow, Susan said. They're hidden there. Good. And Admiral, no one outside this group hears about this tribute demand yet. The public would panic. Understood, sir. After the call ended, Susan returned to the window. Earth still looked peaceful from here. People had no idea what was coming. Humans had fought each other for thousands of years, but they had never faced a threat like this. She thought about the ships hidden on the dark side of the moon, the product of Earth's best minds working in secret for 3 years. The Council thought they were dealing with a weak, primitive species. They would soon learn how wrong they were. Susan smiled slightly. In 30 days, the galaxy would never be the same. Ambassador John Miller adjusted his tie as the transport ship docked at Zenith Prime Station. The massive space station served as the capital of the Galactic Council. It was bigger than any city on Earth, housing representatives from over 200 alien species. John had been Earth's ambassador for 2 years now. He still wasn't used to the strange smells and sounds, or the way some aliens looked at humans, like they were interesting pets. Ready, sir? Asked his assistant, Lisa Brown. As ready as I'll ever be, John replied. They stepped off the ship into the grand arrival hall. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved about. Some floated in the air. Others crawled along the walls. The 7 main council species had their own special walkways above everyone else. John's mission was clear but dangerous. Discover the real reason behind the tribute demand. President Carter needed information to make the right decision for Earth. The ITU human embassy was small compared to others. John went straight to his office and reviewed his schedule. Today he would meet with representatives from all 7 council species, starting with the Morrigan. The Morrigan looked almost human, except for their silver skin and 4 arms. Ambassador Calivore was waiting when John arrived. "Ambassador Miller," she said, bowing slightly. "I heard about the tribute demand. Most unfortunate." John studied her face. "Is it truly standard practice? We've found no records of other species paying such tribute." Calivore looked uncomfortable. "It is not," she admitted quietly. "Some on the council see humans as useful. Your bodies are weak compared to many species, but your minds are impressive. Your technology advanced quickly once you saw ours." "So we're being singled out," John said. "The council has grown lazy. They expect immediate compliance because that's what they usually get. New species are typically afraid to resist." This confirmed what Earth suspected. John thanked Calivore and continued his meetings throughout the day. The Vraks with their insect-like bodies were blunt. Humans will serve or be punished. It is simple. The jellyfish-like coral floated in front of John, their transparent bodies pulsing with light. The council needs resources. Humans have resources. Why complicate matters? By the end of the day, John had a clear picture. The council was not united. 3 species wanted to exploit Earth. 2 were neutral. The Morrigan and another species called the Dendari seemed sympathetic to humans. Most importantly, John learned the council wasn't as powerful as they pretended. They hadn't fought a real war in centuries. They relied on fear and their reputation to control others. That night, John sent an encrypted message to Earth. Council divided. Military strength exaggerated. Recommend Operation Prometheus proceed. 3 days later, John was called to an emergency council meeting. A Vrak security officer met him at the door. "Your species has been detected moving unusual materials to your moon," the alien said, its mandibles clicking. "Explain." John kept his face neutral. "I'm not aware of any unusual activities. Perhaps it's for the lunar colony expansion we announced last year." The council chamber was huge, with 7 massive thrones for the leading species. Other representatives sat in tiered seats below. Humans were near the bottom. High Speaker Zarthul's voice boomed across the chamber. "Human activity suggests preparation for resistance rather than tribute. This is unacceptable." John stood tall. "My government is still considering your request. We have 27 days remaining, correct?" "Request?" Zarthul hissed. "It is a demand, human." "I understand," John said calmly. "And I will relay your demand again to my government." As John left the chamber, he noticed Calivore watching him. She gave him the slightest nod. Back in his office, John sent another message to Earth. Council suspicious but uninformed. They see unusual activity but don't understand what they're seeing. They expect submission, not resistance. He paused, then added, "They have no idea what's coming.